You sat down just in time, Papa.
Yeah,
Hey, everybody, it is Thursday. It is a little late, 7:30. We had to get some stuff prepped and ready to go. But here we are from the barracks. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I have with me Z Monster, the legend of TCA, and down below me is Greg, the Paparisi from Dead End Outdoors, the man, the myth, the legend.
Good evening, everyone.
Sort of stature, but biggest heart. You thought I was not going to get that out today.
No, I knew you can.
So we actually are going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to talk about a couple of events. I know Z Monster has some events. Papa has some events. And we're also going to bring out a new segment, which is Where's My Dollar? And this is sort of a segment pretty much to talk about on-field disputes and everything else, and probably behavior you shouldn't exhibit on an airsoft field. And we have some great stuff from last night. So let's go ahead and get this start off with talking about like the events that are newest to oldest, or ones that are coming up next, and then ones that are a little bit further out. So, Mr. Papa, what's going on this week?
Well, that's me. All right. So we got two big games coming up back to back. They are not affiliated. I have to continue to remind people of that. They are not affiliated. The night game and North or South game are not. You don't have to be to one to get another. You can't buy tickets to bring you to both. None of that. So first, this coming Saturday, gates open at 4 p.m. Game starts at dusk, roughly around 8:30, somewhere around there in the evening. It is our DEO After Dark. This is a tracer-only night game. I have to reiterate that. It's a tracer-only night game. In order to play the game, you have to have a tracer unit. We do have tracer BBs. We have tracer units for sale, but we thought it would be something a little extra special, make it a little bit more fun to have it be tracer-only. On top of that, the field is more lit than it's ever been, and we're going to actually have areas of the field pop open with lights and then go back dark, and lights and dark. There's shootable targets that turn lights on and off, and Tiny has he's opened up the fun chest with everything from floating glow-in-the-dark stuff to targets that pop open and glow in the dark. So everything in between. Really going to be a fun game. Not incredibly a tactical night game. This is just more of a wild, fun night game, almost like what's the glow bowling or whatever you call it. It's more something more along related to that. So it really should be a lot of fun. One of the good things about this, what we really try to do, is during the day. Like I said, we open up at about 4 p.m. We do we've got a buy sell trade that's happening on the field. And it's kind of a meet and greet and tech and tune and all sorts of stuff. Bring your guns, you get a chance. The field stays cold, except for with the exception of going on and ranging out any of the guns that you have, any of that stuff. So that's what the field is used for during the day. Then right around 6 p.m. We do dinner, and every night game, dinners for the night game. I do ribs. Yes, I do beef tips this time again, Joker.
Yeah.
And we get chicken. I do chicken wings, pulled pork. Actually, I take that back. I don't think I'm doing pulled pork this time because we are doing the beef tips. And we got a couple of birthdays to celebrate as well. So a couple of my guys, my team guys, have birthdays going on, so we're gonna be celebrating that. But we do, big dinner. Following morning, we do breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel. Try to take care of everybody, and then gates open. Boom, 8 a.m. Fly on there. Come on. You know you're welcome. It's a weekend. You got time. We try. This is the North versus South game is probably the most serious game that we put on. It's as close to Milton as you're going to get out of the field. We actually are. We've upped the amount of admins that we're having. We're paying admins this time. We're going to have about approximately 15 admins on the field. Everywhere you turn, there's going to be an admin. Reason for that is we want to make sure that we stop anything before it starts. So last time we did North versus South, we had 136 players, which on a 10-acre field is a lot. And they played in shin-high water.
For you, it's neck high.
Yeah, there's actually pictures and I think video of Joker carrying me on and off the field because I needed to go make a speech and I wasn't about to swim my way through it. So I get assistance. Listen, I'm smart. So, but with 136 players, we only had a handful of admins on the field, and we realized it allowed for some issues to grow. We'll say it like that. When you have a show of force, every time you turn around to look over your shoulder to think, well, maybe I can get away with this, there's an admin there, you don't even bother trying. So that's how we're handling it this time. The gates are open at 8. Registration starts at 8:30. Tickets are already on sale. Buy tickets in advance, they're $40. At the door, they're $45. The ticket gets you into the game, gets you a raffle ticket, and gets you lunch. So that's all inclusive. Game starts promptly at 10 a.m. We'll be doing the safety brief beforehand, modified safety brief to include the different rules and things. Chrono happens all morning long, and then we bang it out. We get out there on the field, and we start going to town. And I will tell you, and this more for Sal than for Joker, because Joker knows this, if you, especially here in Florida, the play style differences, the Mason-Dixon line, the DMs, that separation where you have speed softers versus Milsimmers. And there really is a line. The northern guys primarily are Milsim. The southern guys are primarily speed soft. And you absolutely see the difference in play. Sometimes it works out in one side's favor. Sometimes it works out in the other side's favor, depending on what happens. I know if going to events, you can see where the Milsimmers will take their time and they'll evaluate and create a plan that could take an hour to execute, whereas someone like Joker be like, I got this, and just go running through. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's an awesome thing to see that in one field, that exact mix, and see them play against each other. And that's what we're doing with the North versus South game. And I'll take a breath. Ben, you're not late. No water this time, just dust. That, knock on wood, Dave. Knock on wood. No water this time. Yes. We really.
It looks like it's not going to happen.
What's that?
The northern guys primarily are Milton.
There's always the opportunity for rain through Southwest Florida, so it could happen. But it's not going to be anything like what it was last time for sure. Unless we get some kind of crazy fluke come through, then no, that's definitely not going to happen. But we've made some changes. We listened to some people that we've opened up some areas on the field. We've closed off some areas on the field. We've made it the gameplay. Tiny's done a great job with the objectives. So it's going to be something for everybody, and it's twice as good as last time. Honestly, as far as I know, though, we don't have any proposals happening. So I don't know if you know this. We actually had, during the safety brief, we had a proposal. A couple that met playing airsoft. They met in airsoft, dated for a while, and then he actually proposed to her at our field at that safety brief. So
that was really cool.
Yeah, it really is. And look, the other thing that we have, by the way, Saturday afternoon, we also have a celebration of life. We lost a player. One of our players' fathers, actually, who was a player. He's the oldest guy we ever had on our field, 68 years old. He survived several types of cancer. He had like degenerative discs and things like that. And I used to tease him, great guy. And I used to tease him all the time, and he'd be out there trucking it. And unfortunately, it came back, and it came back, with force and took him quickly. So we are doing a celebration of life because his wife actually asked Jeremiah, which is the son, if I wouldn't mind them doing it there because he loved coming out to our field so much. And in that moment, I'm just like, that is as humbling as it gets. You give such a safe place, such a warm place for people to come to, that's where they want their last moments to be. I'm done. I did my job. So
I'm looking forward to this weekend. And sorry about all that where I was really quiet, guys. Went to pay for dinner, and then evidently the card fraud got kicked off, so I had to go find my wallet and make sure it went through. Oh, when you buy too much in a short period of time. So, anyways, I guess what we could do now is we could go into our segment of Where's My Dollar before we're going into all the events that Z Monster wants to talk about.
Where's my dollar? Where is it?
Actually, I got it. So one of the things I do now is, when I'm on the field, it's very rare that I'm wrong if I say I shot somebody. I don't know what it is about how I play, but especially when I'm running tracers, I can usually tell exactly where I hit somebody or know somebody when I'm playing. It's as if I get a little freeze picture in my mind and go through. So usually when I tell somebody, hey, I hit you, I'm right. And so I need to cover this portion up. Hold on. How am I going to do this? I'll share it this way. So this came in, the $1 on Cash App. For respect, don't call me no bitch. And the reason why this came up, and the reason why this is going to be, you all don't want to be seeing that.
No.
That was my new car insurance. Stop sharing. There we go. That's the button I need to push. So what happens is sometime on the field, it's inevitable. People are going to get heated and go through and do stuff. Some people are going to yell at stuff. Some people are going to say stuff, whatever. It happens, it's how you react after that. So what spurned all this was we had 3 players we never saw before show up to Miami Airsoft last night. I'm going to play the first video where it was just hilarious because they're telling me I had to take my pistol off the field, that my pistol wasn't there. My pistol was shooting too much. So there. I obviously was not prepared before to have this other stuff there, but all right. So here we go. This is a stock TM high kappa, and no modifications done to it or anything. He's not wearing gloves. That's his first fault.
Yes, you're moving that fast. Oh, nice.
I did this because it's for a TikTok video, so I sped up the video because there was no other interactions. So I missed every shot.
The Yankee trigger pull, yes.
This is stock. This is stock. No, he shot me right here. But you have to understand, this is a stock gun. Nothing's been upgraded to it. That happens all the time, man. That's why you wear gloves. Yeah. That's the power of the gun.
All right. So to go back over, he said that somebody had to pull a BB out of their hand for me shooting him with this pistol. That's why I showed the video of the 3 people I took a shot at. So this is the beginning of the game. I went with this one so I could see the tracers. He got hit in the hand. He cried about it. All right. So the very next thing was,
this is stock.
This is the very next game. I cranked the volume up on this because this is his buddy, supposedly the one that had a BB in his hand.
Oh.
Yes, it is. They just chronoed it. They just chronoed it today. Well, no, you don't, dude. Hey, Brian, did you just chrono this gun today? When did it turn away? Thank you.
You got all of them. I'm sorry.
So he was making some other comments on his way out the door, pretty much saying you're wrong. It's like that's the ref that chronoed the gun. You're wrong. Deal with it. Then this happened. Oh, not that. That's me getting Hey, wait a second. Where'd it go? This is all one day, but I don't want to show off all my.
Yeah.
Where the hell did it go?
His evidence is gone.
Give the dollar back.
I renamed it Where's My Dollar?
I shot you, bro. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there.
I was wrong in where I shot
Want to
him.
bet $1? I'll bet you $1. All right. It'll be up on the stream tonight.
Damn. Yeah.
So he paid up. I'll give him that respect. He did pay up. And then that was another one. All right, this is the other one. So this is the first guy, and I had to pull this up because I wanted to bet this kid $1, but he didn't give me one.
You didn't hit me, bro. You didn't hit me.
He didn't even pull the trigger until he got beyond the window.
You would have seen the slide recoil.
Yeah, look, you don't even see his finger move until right there. But by the time he pulled the trigger, he's aiming away, and I thought it hit the wall behind me, but it hit right there on that portion of the window. So the reason why we have these is just because you point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger does not mean you shot them. And
But I meant to shoot you.
Yeah, I meant to shoot him, and I shot him. So I'm going to start doing more and more stuff like this because it's something to talk about where it's like I kept my cool almost every single time and I didn't yell and scream. The end of all this, as I'm talking with a guy that's outside because I accidentally shot him in the neck in a sick little side shot. It was kind of cool. They were parked in front of him, and the only way for him to get out is the guy that I was talking to had to move his vehicle. Well, the guy in the gray sweater says you're just a effing cheater and everything else. It's like, well, I was like, what are you talking about, man? He goes, I know I shot you. I was like, you didn't shoot me, dude. And then they tried to do this epic peel out of the parking lot in this little Honda or Hyundai piece of crap or whatever. And literally they almost wrecked, and it was like the most pathetic burnout ever. So what are your guys' thoughts on stuff like this on the field, having something like this to go back through and address later on?
I don't care for it, man, to be honest with you, because you cannot convince a person that they're wrong. You can't. You can, but they're not going to admit it because pride's on the line. And they've already gone down the rabbit hole so much that they've been, oh, I'm right. Even though I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong because then I look like a jackass. I'd rather indoor fields, that's a different animal. I've played indoor fields. I've always given the benefit of, you know what, bro, I'm not going to argue, shit, whatever. I laughed at Javi Franco's April Fool joke when Sal's leaving Third Coast to start epic no single missions.
Dude, I saw that and I was like, that's why I don't believe anything on this day. And I know what it was.
Because I laugh because, part of me is like, you know what, I'll break out the 5.56 single missions and you'll see people that can't bullshit. But until that day comes, because then now it's a matter of I'm just going to keep shooting even though I got shot. We call that bulldogging. And it's like, hey, bro, you wouldn't do that in real life. Don't do it in airsoft. Well, I can take the pain. Well, yeah, but you're ruining the game for other people, and you're just being malicious at that point. I like it when people get pissed off. What about hurting the hands? Hey, man, you're not wearing gloves. You're not wearing PPE. So, you're the same person that says, well, FPS, fuck it. Shoot 500 FPS. It doesn't matter. When you get your earlobe perforated or shot off or a fingernail shot off or you're digging a BB out of your face or your neck or your hands or you get your teeth rearranged, all of a sudden FPS joules become important. The rules become important at that point. Hey, Papa, you on the field, so you've seen it.
Yeah, my feelings about it, going back, you should never have to rely on I'll show you the video. In my opinion, you should never have to rely on that. I mean, from a content creator standpoint, obviously, look, our sport would be way smaller if it wasn't for videos.
Yeah.
That's the truth. My son found out about it because of watching YouTube. You know, he saw it became cool, and
That's how I found out about it.
And bam. So yes, having the videos is great, but the reliance on and I think it's a vicious cycle. I think if this guy here who you said, look, I'll bet you $1 I got you. Instead of him going, you know what? I don't need to bet you. It's a possibility I did get hit. You're right. You got it. And now it's okay. My ego's there. Your ego's there. Let's go ahead and challenge. No, you know on that field, all ego and attitudes stay out the field. If you think you were hit, there's a possibility you were hit. If maybe or maybe not you were hit, just call the hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is that it's actually an interesting experiment when I started doing this because, you know, like you sort of said, Z, it's like there's always that concern of, oh, well, the machismo is going to get into place. Well, he did send me, and he has been interacting me on my TikTok account. Now,
that's a great player. That's a great player.
Yeah, and I have $4 other here for the same reason, and all these guys have come back and played with us in the past.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's kind of interesting because what it does is it's essentially a friendly wager. I never bet more than $1, although I should do 2 so I could play the song that clip of "Where's my $2." Oh, Papa's back.
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't know, man.
He's still there. This one, but yeah. But the thing was, it's like like I guess for a lot of places it won't, but places like Miami Airsoft, this sort of thing's almost needed in the sense of saying, "Hey, look, you got hot." Like the other one that I did, which is where my other $1 is coming from. We played against that kid for the first time. I said, "Look, I'll send you the video. You want to bet $1?" He goes, "Sure." And then as we started going through, he realizes, okay, this guy's not being a dick about it. He's just gonna say, "Hey, let's go through and do it." So that's the new segment. But there was another interesting you said. Now, this is another rules clarification. I want like field and event promoters. If you're wearing any kit on your body, does it count when you get hit anywhere?
Yes.
Well, of course.
Yes.
A gun hit doesn't count unless you're getting hit all over the place. Like you've heard me say before, a gun is not a shield.
Right.
But gun gets hit, you yell gun hit. 5 or 10 gun hits, you're dead. Your gun's been destroyed in real life, so that's it. Same as a ricochet, the whole bullshit. But no, if you're wearing a helmet, you get hit in a helmet, you're dead. You're wearing body plates, you're dead.
So I will say the next clip I'm going to show is something very similar to that, but I was able to talk with the guy after. So this is not him putting on blast. It was like the look of disbelief. I think this is where a lot of people need to be understanding. If you're wearing something and it gets hit, you're going to get called out. So it went right off his backpack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
counts. It's part of his gear.
Right there in your backpack. Right there. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
Look, I got tracers on. Yeah. Anything on your body counts.
so this is where I'm going to bring in some real
Having a
life,
backpack on.
real life, a bit of combat experience. Had a soldier, had his back, has a salt pack on, humping a radio, right? The radio sits in a small pouch in the upper side of the rucksack. Bullet hit that, and the 5990 battery exploded. Okay. I had another kid take a round through the backpack, puncture his camelback. He swore up and down he was bleeding out. When it was just his fucking camelback.
Wow.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because I think the scenario of I can almost see somebody going down there. It's like from a movie or whatever. I'm dying.
Yeah.
Take the reality out of it, and it's funny. Put the reality back in. Not funny.
Not funny. You're older now, and you look back on it, you're like, hey, remember that time you thought you were fucking bleeding out? Yeah, man. I thought I was going around to the kids. And it was your camelback bladder? Yeah. Also ruined your lunch because it punctured that MRE. So, But in life, in airsoft, it was like, well, I have all this kit on. Well, hey, dude, that kit makes you a target. It makes you a big target. So sometimes trying to lessen your target profile is a good thing. I love it when players say, "Well, I didn't feel it because I have plates in." Hey, look, guys, I for the first 7 years of airsoft, I wore my actual plates in. I knew when I got hit. I could hear it. Sometimes I can even feel it, if depending on who shot me. Thanks, Pope. So I love that. Well, I have plates in, so I couldn't tell. Well, yeah, dude, you can. You just
Yeah, because
adrenaline does weird things. But again, it's you weren't all that kit count. I mean, I shot a dude me and Max Mullen were at a game, and he's, "Hey Sal, we're in the stairwell looking down." All this dude showed us was his foot, and Max was like, "Hey, you think you can hit him?" "Oh yeah, I can hit him." And I drilled him right in the shoelaces. And the guy's like, "Really, man?" I'm like, "Hey, dude, that's what
it is. What it is. If you wear it and you're not cognizant of it and you get hit, you're out. That's simple. And don't blame us that have really good aim, that can really do good target acquisition and hit small targets with their guns because they're so accurate because of our D-Hop barrels and Indestructibles.
Look at you. Look at you.
I just like, hey, don't hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Shot you in the foot. That's what you showed me. Sorry. But anyways.
Yeah, that's my feelings. I think Sal and I feel the same way as when it comes to the recordings and things like that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be necessary, and I think that there's a piece of it that propagates itself. The more you do it, the more you show it, the more it becomes almost necessary. I mean, so it's almost a catch-22.
Talking to some airsoft players who do a lot of content, they never show when they get hit. And that almost creates an aura of they never call their hits. It's not true. So some of the guys that we've talked to that do a lot of content, they're like, "Hey man, you need to show when you get owned, because that lets other players know that it happens."
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And he never thought about that. That one particular player never thought about it that way. He was like, "I've never thought about it like that." I'm like, "Yeah, man, you need to show when you turn the corner and got popped in the neck, because that lets players know that shit happens."
And that's one of the things that I always try to do too, is like, people are so surprised. "I got you. I can't believe I got you." It's like, dude, I'm not a hard target to hit. I don't do any sort of real tactics. I rush in and blast. My game style is to take hits. It's as long as I take out more people than that took. If it's more than a 1-to-1 or a 0-to-1 ratio, I'm happy. So going on the heels of that, man, TCA has been busy lately setting up events.
Everyone thought we didn't have much of a 2020 game schedule. We kept telling people, "Look, we don't like announcing dates until we've locked in locations." Coordination again, man, but people are planning their lives around this. So what we don't want to do is put a date out and then it doesn't happen. Our upcoming event, Sand Dragon was the first weekend of May. We punted it to the second weekend of May because of a lot of conflicting stuff. Plus the guys, big shout out to the guys out in the West Texas, New Mexico area. They want Milsim, and it's kind of like the undiscovered country because Copperhead, we did Mountain Viking 1 and 2. And so there is a viable player base there. The problem is next Copperhead is not until September, and those guys are going to make a 10-hour drive to go to Fort Hood to play Starburst, or drive to Montana, or drive to Colorado. We're bringing it to them, and we're really using a great AO. American Eagle Paintball is an awesome spot. And so to say, "Hey guys, come get your BB on, Wilson."
Sal froze.
PCA diet and simple. Okay.
Sorry, you froze for a second. It's like you're on a roll, and all of a sudden it's like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So, anyways, we're bringing TCA Milsim to El Paso to play on a really awesome field that's very well lit because it gets very hot in El Paso. So you reverse cycle it, you play in the evenings, early mornings, and you'll have a great time. A lot of players are like, well, I'll just wait for AMS's game. You can do that, but then you're kind of missing out on a feeder game that will give you a little bit more experience. Is your kit? Are you wearing the right kit? Are you carrying enough mags? Is your team really good at shooting and communicate when it's being opposed? I see teams doing a lot of practice, but they never practice against a free-thinking op4. And so, Sand Dragon's going to give them an opportunity to get their beanie on against an opposing force, even if it's another team. So that's Sand Dragon. It's the second weekend of May. And then moving into to August, we're looking at finalized details with Texas Paintball out in Jonestown, Texas, which is just west of Austin. They have a phenomenal field,
And that's going to be hot.
So yes, but we're doing our take, TCA's take on Vietnam. So we did Rolling Thunder 2 out at 878's field, and Rolling Thunder is an extreme airsoft game. That was Adon, the boys back in the day. And so we wanted to do our own spin on it. So we're doing Prairie Fire, sorry. And the guys who know what Prairie Fire means, it was for MACV SOG operations in Laos and Cambodia. So we're going to do our version of NamSoft and hopefully at Texas Paintball. Once we go final with the guys out there, we'll launch ticket sales. It'll be hot. It'll be August. But for the guys who know Jonestown and Texas Paintball, that field's very well shaded, and it's Third Coast. So it's not going to be force on force. It will be staff. It will be staff led.
Oh, nice.
So it's more of a like when we did Rolling Thunder 2. Every one of the staff members took an element. So once we go final with Texas Paintball, who's got a great Vietnam field, we're gonna do Prairie Fire.
So is that going to be sort of a Vietnam type event where you're trying to go with more like make it look like a Vietnam event, or are people going to be able to use their regular guns that they have currently?
So what we've done in the past, we've take your optics off. If you're going to have a rail system, you got to cover it with burlap and rubber bands. World War II to Vietnam, correct weapons, period weapons, uniforms, matter. So for plate carriers at home, break out the LVEs and the Rhodey vests, the Rhodesian rig vests. Try to look the part. And we did Rolling Thunder 2. There's some great videos from USA Airsoft from Rolling Thunder 2. We had a good turnout, man. It was a phenomenal turnout, and guys really got into it as far as the kit, the uniforms, the look. The guy, I'll run as Viet Cong. Okay, great. We're going to have Sean Spider, our resident ranger on the staff. He's going to run MACV SOG guys with coach. They're going to get their black pajamas, but they're going to be MACV SOG guys. So if you read John Stryker Meyer's book, Over the Fence, Across the Fence, get your MACV SOG on. So like I said, as soon as we go final with Texas Paintball, we'll launch ticket sales.
Just to be clear, on those two events, there are no technicals at those two events, right?
No, the fields are way too small. Small.
Yeah, I'm just going over all the stuff that's there because I know there's. Honestly, both events actually are piquing my interest.
Well, I would tell you that Texas Paintball, man, he's got the NAM field and we're using and the Normandy field. They've got a Huey. He's actually got tunnels. They call it, the next game is a nom. And he's like, Dave out there built a very legit NAM field. He only knows how to build a field one way, and it's to overbuild it. It looks awesome. So that one will be in August. We just got to make sure we're final with Texas Paintball, and then we'll launch ticket sales. That one will have unique rules in terms of uniforms and weapons. But there is such a crowd out there that's clamoring for it.
You said unique rules?
Yeah, like one of the guys has a PPSH, and he's like, Sal, there are no mid camps for PPSH. Yes, you're right. Okay, we'll allow it. Guys rocking, I can only find woodland. Okay, yeah, you can wear woodland with years. That's fine. We'll put you in the Marines because we break them off by elements. We have like the first Cav, we've got the Marine Division, and then we've got MACV SOG. And on the Vietnamese side, you've got the Viet Cong and the NVA. NVA wearing tan. If they can find a pith helmet off Wish.com, great. Black pajamas, and a rice hat. And so like guys like Chav and hopefully Pope, we get Pope back out there. He'll run Cosmin, which is the NVA side of the house, and then Chav and the boys will run Black Pajamas, and then Coach and Spider will run Mackie Song, and then of course me and a couple other guys will run the Cav, and so it'll be a good time. We're looking in that field, even with the heat. We did Rolling Thunder 2, and it was hot. And we managed to not have a single heat casualty because of the way we shaped the game. So
this is West. I'm sorry, I know I dropped off for a minute. This is West Texas.
This one will be in Austin, just
Austin,
here west of Austin, in Jonestown, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Paintball's got a great location. It's actually got a river boundary that's the southern boundary of the actual field, so it's really nice. Very well shaded. Joker is muted.
No, I'm talking, thinking I took the microphone back off of mute because my food arrived, and it was not. So I have questions about more questions about the environment. Is it dry there? Desert conditions, but shaded, or is it
for Sand Dragon? It's Sand Dragon's El Paso. That's desert.
Yeah.
For Prairie Fire is actually wooded. Beautiful field, man. One of the best in Texas. He's got a river that's the boundary of 3 of the fields. There are some great fields there. There's a ton of videos online showing off that field. And so hopefully when I move back to San Antonio, I'll be able to go and do an actual site recon and show video of the field. Because that's kind of my home field when I'm back at the house. So
I'm mostly curious about how much prehydration and everything somebody would have to use. Like for me, I'm used to the heat. Like hell, when it's summertime, I'm playing at Miami Airsoft. It's 110 degrees inside that place sometimes.
Yeah,
or battalion. So it's like, we're playing in heat and all that, but it's humid. It's not a dry heat. I'm sure those events are a little bit different.
So it'd also be a different play style. It's not 3-2-1 game on. It's very mission focused. For example, MACV SOG will have an area that's like Cambodia where only they can go in, and the NVA can be crawling around that area. The conventional forces can't go there, so that's very MACV SOG-ish. Meanwhile, you've got the VC who've got to infiltrate in. So we've got it set up to where it's a very specific mission set. One of the guys asked me, why do you have Joe Gable 3D printing claymores? I'm like, no reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you'll see those there. It's a different take. Very, very immersive, but it's spaced out because of the heat. So players will be able to get a lot of gun time. They'll be very mission focused, and they look cool because all the retro gear. That's another half. When you're not wearing a plate carrier and you're wearing just OD green and LBE, I mean, Papa, I can't believe we trained like that back in the 90s.
I was just thinking as soon as you said LBE, I'm like, man, there was no. The closest thing I wore to plates, they had the flak vest for us inside the tank, which we didn't wear.
Yeah.
We packed them, we put them in a bustle rack, but we didn't wear them, but they gave them to us.
You were like, wow, I'm wearing this for it. So Austin is superhuman in Austin. Well, Doug, to answer that question, it's humid, but it's not unbearable. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to start later in the day. The AO is great, man. It's all shaded. The camping area is completely shaded. That AO is going to be awesome. And then September, ladies and gentlemen, September, the big one, the one that I know the staff has been waiting for since 2017. We were supposed to do Viking 2.
I've been chomping at this ever since you gave us that teaser the last time that when you first gave out the teaser about this, I was like, oh, because I'll tell you what,
so
I love this place.
Major props to Sam. Sam Asani, man, I tell you, my brother from a different mother. That dude wheeled and dealed and did a hell of a lot of coordination to make that happen. A lot of guys, Third Coast and Airsoft Junkies are connected with him. It's the same house. It's kind of like Step Brothers. So, he made it. He made the deal happen, and we went for it. And Serious Viking was always meant to be at Guardian Center. I had to dust off the scenario, adjust a few things.
Joker, is this the one you were telling me I have to go to?
Yes.
Yes. I would not miss it. This is going to be the one not to miss. One, Paul and Jesse are bringing the Huey. So we're 8-man sticks, follow-on ground mission. Tagging will be there. We demo a few things. So it's kind of our opener to the 2021-2022 season. And so we're definitely pulling out a lot of the stops.
I've already got my tier 1. I've already got my ticket. I've already I put down for the 2 technicals because I already told my guys, I was like, the price might be higher than what you typically used to. It's at spending at Milsim events, but the AO is worth it.
Yeah. A lot of people realize that you can't, if somebody were to come back and say that they're going to do a $100 game at Guardian Center, I'd laugh because they're actually taking a huge loss. Because that AO is not cheap at all. I mean,
and do you do a vendor row or anything like that there?
Yes.
Right. Maybe I'll talk to you about that then. That's in September?
In September 16th, 17th, 18th.
So yes, me and my team will be going Eastern for Serious Viking 3.
Ooh, big team.
We already. So a lot of people don't know this, but we've been on a little bit of a vehicle buying spree. We came up to when we went up to Stonebreaker, we went up with 5 vehicles and came back with 3.
Yeah.
So we bought a new bug. So we're actually modifying the bug right now. It's already getting its lift kit done. And then Tuesday, I bought a new truck, the new gun truck. It's a 2017 Ram 1500, which we're going to start putting the dress-up kits on now, and it's going to be painted OD green, so with the rhino liner. So I told my guys, this is not what – if you've never been to Guardian Center and you consider yourself an airsoft or somebody that plays Milsim, this is the AO you want to go to. There's a couple like that. There's also, Camp Shelby and a few other places, but Guardian Center, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We should have done that earlier too, Z, by the way.
Definitely ones not to miss. I don't know, guys. Well, I'll go to the next one. Hey man, look, we were planning to be there in 2017. Really lucky to get a chance to come to it in 2021. They had an opening. We took the shot. Originally, it was going to be in July. Would have been unbearably hot in July. Somebody did ask me, PT Cruiser.
That's why I started laughing. Sorry.
Somebody did ask me a question about, hey Sal, is the tier 1 going to be force on force? Because we did that at Stonebreaker, and that was a lot of player feedback from Lone Strike. It was, hey, it'd be great if you guys did a force on force tier 1. Okay, we did that dance. We danced with the fat chick. Nobody liked it. Some players were like, yeah, this was kind of cool, And so, like I said, AOs dictate how the tier 1s are done. And so it's Guardian Center, so why not use the subway? Why not have a trench knife? Why not have a trench knife type fight where we're breaching and we're thunder running into the city and fighting our way through things.
Will, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not July, it's September, bro.
Yeah, Roger. But there were people that were.
I like that comment. Thank you, Walker. Dropping in the Battle Bus at Stonebreaker Tier 1 was awesome. I'm glad
somebody liked it. Some of the guys were like, I'm like, hey, look, man, the airborne guys wanted to do an airborne type one. Some people actually, liked it, and some people were like, I thought there were a lot of players that got a lot of that Tier 1. It's hard to gauge because some players want more action, so we give them more action. They come back later and like, we wanted more hands-on. It's what can you do? So
there's a certain level where you cannot achieve 100% satisfaction, and trying to achieve 100% satisfaction means somebody's always going to be upset, no matter what. Been in customer service as long as I've been, and sometimes it's like a lesson in futility. So.
With this, like I said, the Tier 1 committee takes it pretty hard because they're trying to put on the best they can without it absorbing the main event. I love Coach. When my brother comes back, finally the Army lets him come back. I always have to kind of remind him that the event doesn't evolve around Tier 1. The Tier 1 evolves around the event.
Right.
And I have to remind him of that because it's like, hey, look, man, I know how much you want to do, but understand that the event comes first. The Tier 1 community has to make that happen, but there's limitations. So I don't know. We'll see. There was an opportunity to bring the helicopter into the Tier 1, and we just couldn't make it work. We just could not make it work for Stonebreaker. And I'm kind of glad we didn't because that would have just been an uber pain in the ass.
That would have also increased the Tier 1s by a lot. I mean,
well, it would have limited it. It would have really cut it back. It would have been like, all right, I can't have 65 folks or 85 folks. I can have 30 folks.
Because as it stands, I think we did 5 runs with just the bus, 4 or 5 runs to get everybody with the bus.
Yeah.
That's packing. I mean, at one point we had like 25 people on the bus.
Yeah.
So,
and remember, you had your 45 guys on green, and you had 48 guys on tan. So we had nearly 90 something players on the field Friday night. Granted, going head to head and throwing frags at each other, and it was a great time. But
thanks, Dougie. I appreciate that.
13 hours scenario. Broken Dagger 2. Yes, that one was great. I think we'd all taken the Benghazi thing, and we're like, let's come up with a Benghazi scenario. But the guys who went to Broken Dagger, remember that AO lends itself to that scenario. The AO lends itself.
That was actually a question that I had come up before from some other people when you weren't on. Was like, why doesn't TCA do longer standing games, like instead of just the Evo breakups? Is it
So great question. One, insurance, because insurance actually asks us the question, do we allow for rest periods, or do we do nonstop? I don't know where that question came from. At a time, everybody used the same airsoft insurance. And so when they started asking those questions, we were like, no, we have programmed breaks. Well, let's see your schedule. Okay, so we emailed our schedule to them. And they were like, oh, so you guys don't go through the night. No, we actually cut off at a certain time. And they're like, oh, okay. We'll cover you for this one. We're like, oh, what the hell? So people are like, okay, do you allow breaks in between your rounds? Yes. Again, here's our schedule. And so, one, insurance. 2, AOs fucking charge more when you say you're going nonstop. When you say you're doing an 8-hour round, they're like, great, I have to have my staff cover your staff. So that's another one. people don't realize, like GTI, he's got to have his staff there too. We just don't get the keys and go, have fun, guys. Call us when it's over. He's got to have his staff there. So, to do nonstop events means a cost increase. And then the other half is, are you really playing nonstop? The answer really is no, you're not. You're
Right.
taking me, and I can't push you. It's like stabbing you with a cattle prod. Get your fat ass back out there.
Hey,
And it's like, it's trying to get somebody to do something. Well, I paid you. Well, yeah, I'm trying to make sure you get your money's worth. So we've talked about doing, back in the day, me and Sam and the other guys got together and we're like, hey, let's talk about doing a nonstop event. What would that look like? And we drafted a schedule, and we realized it still has breaks because you can't push players nonstop.
Right.
You're going to hit a wall, and once they hit that wall, hey, let's treat them to real soon. Hey, I need you to do a shit burning detail. Go peel potatoes. You guys go fucking trim the Sergeant Major's grass. I mean, I can do those things, but players don't want to do that shit.
No.
Guard this gate for 8 hours.
I'll tell you one thing. Next time that I see Papa run inside of a porta potty to hide from my tactical and grenades, there's going to be a shit burning thing, so I'm going to throw a grenade in that porta potty.
You are welcome to keep thinking that's what happened. I'm okay with that. I had to use the facilities, and it just so happened that it was also a defensible position against the
Battle bug.
Yeah. CRISPR put a big shout out to CRISPR Walker. The alfalfas and the people hanging out there with the brakes. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I mean, and again, 2.5 hours is kind of like 3 hours is kind of the max length for a phase. And then your batteries are out, your beanies are out, your pyro's out, your air's out. Let me give you a break so you can step off the field and fix all that shit. Drink some water, hopefully.
I mean, personally, I'm a fan of breaks because, look, guys, you could go to a certain event and you can be at a 40-hour event and simulate, wearing a 50-pound ruck, going through the thing, staying out in the weather for 3 days. But the reality is we're here to play a game and have fun. The longer you go without a break and the longer you go without actually just relaxing and having a snack, the more your temper is going to go up and the more your blood pressure is going to rise. And that one person that accidentally sprays you 3 or 4 times with BBs because they didn't see you put your hand up or they don't see your dead rag will only make you then respond back with things. So I personally am a fan of having the breaks because then I know, all right, I'm going hot and heavy for an hour and a half. I can have my lunch, my little cappuccino, and then back out on the field,
So the other half is guys will realize that even when you go to a nonstop event, there's a schedule. They just don't publish it. And that's not derogatory. That's reality. Mm-hmm. You're going to get an op order. You're going to get your troop meeting procedures, then your rehearsals, and then you're going to do your mission. And then you're going to go into reset. And that's going to just keep on. That's going to keep on going. Lay down and get no shit.
That was, I will say, I like that you put the rule into effect. I think a lot of people.
It's always been there, Joker, but for some reason, players just, I ain't going to lay down on the ground. Hey, look, dude, you're not wearing cry, right? Just lay on the ground. Like, God, man.
Look, I'll lay down on the ground, but I'm not getting up anytime soon. That's like when I blew myself up, or I got blown up with the grenade. I mean, laying on the grenade. It was one of those things of like I hurt myself at that night game. I pulled a muscle in my calf. I'm still playing. It's towards the very end. We're like 15 minutes to go, and the guy shoots me. I shoot him, and I'm starting to go down. He goes, "You need to lay down." I was like, "Dude, it takes me a minute." All right. So, but on a whole, I want to say that we really want to reiterate again. Like when it comes to big national events, TCA puts on some of the best. AMS is up there too. I've enjoyed both. I like the way that you guys control things. Now, going back to Sirius Viking, because that's most people want to hear about. How many Evos are there going to be again on Saturday? Is it going to be?
Let me look up the schedule. I have the schedule. It'll be very similar to, if not the same, to Stonebreaker.
So there will be night games. Yay!
Yeah. So looking at the schedule right now, again, you're the first place. First time I've ever shared it. We're going hot at 11 with phase one. Phase one goes to 13:30, so that's a 2.5 hour round. Phase two goes from 1500 to 17:30. It's in like 2.5 hours, and then you're looking at from 17:30, because that is the hottest part of the day, till the sun sets. You're looking at a 2000 to 2200 phase three, so 2 hours in the night, and then Sunday we're kicking off phase four at 09 going till noon. So
and then off the AO again by 2.
Yeah, and player feedback is really what drove us to that new schedule. Because we used to do tier ones on Friday and Saturday night, and so you got a Thunder run in, and then bang, you were doing tier one for Saturday night, and a lot of players came back and said, "Hey man, I really want a limited visibility game, some kind of night game." And so, okay, access to Pyro, what kind of AO are we looking at? Is it roam lit? And so far, I think the new schedule, we've been actually very, accommodating to doing a Saturday night round.
I personally, as soon as you did that for, I believe it was Iron Fury, was the first time you guys did that, right?
Yeah, it was on Iron Fury.
It really, first off, it helped get everybody out of their, it helped Green get out of their head, about how
they're in a funk.
Yeah, it was, and then with how well we did, I think it rejuvenated a lot of people for the Sunday play and led for a very close game because we pushed hard on Sunday as well.
So I would tell you that, and I'll say this, and once Eastern tickets start selling like crazy, I'll say it. Eastern is a crock pot. What I mean by that is Eastern takes a minute to heat up. And so usually by Saturday night, Freddie's boys are warmed up, and they usually put the most points on Saturday night. Western, I don't know. I think they're at the hotel. I think they're eating. I mean, Western Craig loses a lot of his fighters, except for the hardcore guys. But Western generally, they start off hot like a road flare, but then by Saturday night, they're kind of like spent. So
I like that. So going to like the discussions on all that, being the Battle Bus pilot, I got to see a lot of both sides and how the interactions and how everything went. I will say, I think one thing that Eastern failed on was the one crew that I dropped off Sunday at Eva did not do what I told them to do. If they would have ran off, grabbed that flag, and ran it to Sarah, they would have probably won the game. It was that close in points.
Yeah.
So, and when you were saying crockpot, I was like, oh, a bunch of different styles thrown in together. That's another great analogy where they build up and start going. But like me and my guys, we're always very mission oriented, and we want to hit hot and heavy, really go fast, really go hard. So we're really looking forward to it. Going back to Serious Viking again, vehicles. Are there going to be any new special rules where the vehicles are allowed and not allowed to go? Did they have to stay on paved roads or?
So for Viking, they have to stay on an improved surface or unimproved surface. In other words, a dirt road, an existing dirt road, or a paved road. They can't freewheel over grass. That's a rule that the Guardian's pretty set on. When it comes to technicals, we're still going to have gun truck / transport.
I think that worked out really well too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Going back to our base rule set, where a vehicle's a vehicle. The issue that we have now is the plethora of UTVs and four-wheelers. It's like, hey man, a UTV is going to be a transport. That is a true transport for safety's sake. Because what we cannot have is someone taking a tagging round and he's got the UTV that can carry 8 guys, and Jesus take the wheel and he rolls it. And so, the deal that we struck with the insurance company was, all right, UTVs, they're not gun trucks. They're purely for transpo, because there's no protection for the crew whatsoever.
That was an interesting discussion that was going on another thread on Javier's thread about that, because I'm a strong proponent of drivers should never be in play, period. Just the stuff that I've seen, just as being a driver, I took at Iron Fury Southern Comfort, I took a chalk round to the chest, and that's only because I had moved forward to look at something. If I would have been sitting back, I would have taken that chalk round to the face, and I would not have been a happy camper. But that's because the windows had to stay down. And personally, I don't like, even with Doomsday events, like when I agreed to take the battle bus out for the first time, I said, look, I understand you want drivers to be in play. I am not in play. I'm driving a 16,000 pound vehicle, an 8-ton vehicle. I'm not in play. And they were fine with that. And then it was not kind of interesting to watch, like, people adapt at Doomsday to saying, okay, we can't shoot this that way. So going on to that a little bit further, is the speed limits going to stay the same? Off-road 5, on pavement 15?
Yeah, and so when you're around troops, if troops are present, you can't go 15, you got to go 5. Because it's too easy for someone to close that 10 foot, 10 feet away from the vehicle, to close that 10 foot really fast. So when you're around players, you have to drop down to 5 miles an hour.
The one thing I would like to see in guys' rule sets, because I saw it driving the bus and I started getting mad, because that's where I think some people thought when I was hovering too much. Yeah. People ran up and put themselves right on the bus to hide as a technical. Now I can't move per the rule. I think what you might want to do is that if the driver hits the horn 3 times, they should back off the vehicle to move it out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if the vehicle's dead, so that way people could, if the vehicle's moving, they can't run up on it to give it cover or block the path, or go from a sitting position to a standing position and walk in front of it.
Hey, your brakes work, okay?
Yeah.
But so that and we're also going to have a separate briefing for vehicle drivers. Sam said it's a must. So hey, if you're driving a technical, you must go to the technical brief, and that's where the drivers will be briefed. Particularly about, hey, guys, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. The guys with the UTVs, I'm all about, hey, if you want to roll it, and, bring a gator and all that jazz, you've got to understand that it's more of a mule, literally a mule. It is designed to get you close to the fight, dismount, and go fight. You would not drive. None of the guys that I saw and worked with in 02 in Afghanistan, none of those guys drove their ATVs all the way into their Taliban positions. So don't do it for real. If they do it for real, don't do it yourself.
So that leads to like one of the other questions I have, because I always like to find out about the technical rules before going to an event. The night game, is it going to be the same thing? No VIX at the night game for Serious Viking?
Yeah, that's for safety's sake, and then that's also Guardian's rules.
Is that going to be a guy's standing rule for all events moving forward, that there's going to be no VIX for night games?
It is totally dependent on what the insurance dictates and what the AO dictates. If the AO says we're cool with it, then we still have to run it by the insurance. If the insurance is down with it, or they say pay a little bit more, we'll have that discussion. But the AO is really the ultimate decider, because it's their space, man.
All right, and then going back to talking about technicals for a second, when it comes down to there for TCA, we were starting to talk about this beforehand and before we went live on the stream, but going over some of all the requests you have for vehicles. There's, should somebody be showing up in a white pickup truck, for example?
No, not at all. One of the guys hit us up. It's a black pickup, and I said, okay, it's got to be tactical in appearance. And what does that mean? That means that it's not a white pickup. Because you got guys like Joker and Vincent and Sam and others who have spent thousands of dollars to have these awesome vehicles that are painted, You can't just drive your freaking your white Land Cruiser onto the field. We tried it a long time ago. I agreed with Pope when he said, "Hey, nothing stopped me from grabbing my Jeep then." It's gotta look the part. And so guys with a black, they have a black pickup truck. I'm like, hang some camo netting off of it. It's got to have a faction flag. It's got to have a dead flag. So when it's hit, guys, having a technical does not increase your team's combat power. I would say that if you look at how Junkies uses their truck, one, you look at who's on the truck. Two, you look at who's working in and around the vehicle. There's battle drills that they have developed. There's training that they've actually made a point of training on. And that team's just as effective with the vehicle or without the vehicle. So if you're not any good without a vehicle, getting a vehicle is not going to make your team any better.
And to piggyback off that, there's a skill to driving technicals at airsoft games. It's not just a matter of driving towards the fight and everything else. You need to have a tactical mindset of saying, okay, where's my vehicle going to be the most effective, and what's going to happen to my vehicle when I go there? So, and if you're smart and you're playing with some other, and you have other technicals with you, like how we were so effective with ours was the fact that the battle bug is so agile, nimble, and everything else. We literally would turn the battle bug into the pyro magnet. And people would launch, and because of the profile and all that, they would miss left and right. They would throw stuff. It would not come close now. And we increased the radius. If somebody threw a grenade within 15 feet, we call that as a hit. Because if somebody's wasting $10 to try to take us out, we're going to be respectful for everybody. So, and I think that's why a lot of people are mad about the bus in a sense that, oh my God, the bus is really messing us up. Yeah, well, I've been driving technicals for 8 and I know where to go and how to face and, how to mess up the day. So if you're thinking about making a technical, it's not cheap if you're doing it right. First off, you need to have good insurance. You're not going to be going on there with the 10-20. You need to have 100, 300,000 minimum, in insurance coverage. And I'm talking about thousands. If you're going out there and you just want to, we rattle canned the battle bug because we were requested to change the color. I was like, okay, going out there with a rattle can, it worked. The paint job looks like crap. But if you're bringing a technical out, find Rhino liner. You could actually do it yourself. That's what we're sort of doing with the bus. But all of my vehicles are doing it. Like my truck that I just bought, it's going to my neighbor down the street. It's going to get $800, and it's going to have the Rhino liner. It's going to be OD green. There's going to be little doubt of what color that truck is unless, it has to switch out for whatever reason. But then we're going to get reversible panels for it. So
we had that talk about to be side specific, and we kind of backed off of that. We're like, look, I think the faction flag, the faction flag makes a difference. That was one, and two, I think having the placards is pretty cool to be able to say, oh, it's an Eastern truck.
And those are not that expensive, guys. If you saw them on the bus, you saw them on the bug, the truck, and all that. Those cost me $35 a piece.
Damn, that's reasonable.
Yeah, and you just don't drive with them on the highway because they will fly away. Yeah. So if you're going to be going to an event, I mean, we messed up with the bus because the flags didn't make it on the bus that we had made for the bus, and we're sort of disappointed. But we had at least the magnets. Invest the money. It's like $70, and you have these cool flags for either side. And you're probably going to you should be staying on the same side anyway. Yeah. So go through and do it. If you guys need help getting stuff like that, feel free to contact me. I'm always there to help. And I like the vehicles out there. I love going after Sam Asadi inside the the Humvees, the Junkies Humvee. We like having those battles around. Now, when it comes to, I wanted to talk about the safety brief. Sam, since I see you on there, can we please have the safety brief on Saturday? Because I missed the safety brief Friday night because I was doing tier 1 stuff. And we went over it during safety brief. I asked a couple of the clarifying questions I needed to make sure. Yeah. But if we could do that.
And then the other half is, guys are like, oh, you need to add this to your rules. Yeah, add this to your rule. Look, guys, I can have a 40-page SOP. I guarantee no one's going to fucking read it.
They hardly read it now.
I hardly read it now. The op order is generally about 16, 18 pages, and it's got a lot of pictures. So we try to keep it to one slide, a handout, and we hand it to them and say, here are the vehicle rules. Don't overthink it. It's pretty simple. When in doubt, honk the horn, tell players to get the fuck away from the vehicle. When in doubt, call yourself out. The vehicle is an enhancement to the game. It should not be the game. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of players get tunnel vision, just like the real thing. And so when it comes to the vehicle safety brief, it'll be on Saturday morning. What cracks me up about that, and I try to tell players, a lot of new players particularly, there were so many at Stonebreaker, which is great. It was awesome to see so many new faces. However, time is the enemy. So jaw-jacking, wasting time Saturday morning, before you know it, it's time to chrono and get in formation. Guys go into formation without their kit on. I was like, what do you think happens after this formation? It's like, well, I thought I had time to go back to the car. No. Well, you guys really start on time. Yeah. So that's a big piece that and you can't hold that against them. There are a lot of new guys. And guys get nervous. They get excited. They don't realize the time is just clicking away on Saturday morning.
And we sort of almost had that problem too, where we almost didn't make it, but we were still there. All the guys that were there with their kit on, we got them all in line and all that, and all the vehicles ready to go. And remember, we prepped 4 vehicles. We had the black SUV that was the transport. We had the gun truck. We had the battle bug and the battle bus. So we had everything go out there. So what I would say is, if people are going to a TCA event, especially, the cool thing about getting there Friday besides the fact that you get to mingle and see all the stuff, you get to see all the cool vendors and all that stuff, but you could also go through and get chronoed, get set, so that way Saturday morning you're not going on the line that's 50 people, 60 people, 70 people deep trying to get 4 or 5 guns chronoed, because you might miss some aspects of the game, and you don't want that.
No, and so I think we run a pretty tight ship. SNCC, Boy Scout, all the chrono crew. I always judge an event by 2 things: 1, how chrono goes, and 2, if we start on time. Because those are 2 things I generally judge an event by. Silent judgment, and go, all right. Is the event that I'm at a good event? 1, what are the chrono procedures? How efficient is the chrono procedures? And then, are we starting on time? If there's a 2-hour delay, that's a problem. If it's a 30-minute delay, okay. If it's a 15-minute delay, I don't want to hold that against them, because shit happens. But I give our chrono crew major props, because that has been something that we have stressed over so much to get right. And the next half of it is the check-in procedures, making sure that every player, we're going to go back to safety briefs. I think COVID will be, God willing, I think COVID should no longer be a thing by Viking.
I'll be vaccinated.
I mean, God, get your shots, folks. It's tinfoil is not going to save you. Anyways, but at the end of the day, it's like we need to go back to in-person safety briefs, because we kind of hinted at it. We did it at Stonebreaker. We're still going to do all of the online stuff, so that way people can get very, very fluent in our rules. And then briefing our people and saying, hey, I safety briefed every single player on that field, either myself, Castle, or Kraut. So there's no, well, I didn't know. Well, it's because you're ignorant and stupid. Get off my field. You're a danger to others. And that's quality control, number 1, to make sure that we have the right players on the field. And 2, it's product control, because then the game runs well. So yeah, you're right, man. Show up a third coast game because not every game starts on Friday. But if you can show up at check-in time, get checked in, get it done. Leave your gun alone after that once you've chronoed. And then, then you can go jaw jack and bullshit and, it's going to be so awesome. It's going to be so awesome. You can fist bump everybody a million times. And then get ready to do your thing on Saturday.
Yeah. So what I always tell my crew is like at the first time when we started doing events, I started telling my guys, well, I'm going up the night before. A night before the date even opens, when the first game doesn't start till Saturday. Yeah. Because I get up there, if I'm traveling 10 or plus hours, I get up there in time that I get in a hotel, I'm refreshed, I wake up in the morning, I then go get chrono, get all my stuff set up. I could then BS and mess around. If there's a Friday night game, awesome. And then Saturday, the only thing I have to do is get prepped and get on the field for safety brief, and then get on the field. And that mentality has made it to where usually we don't have many issues going out to an event at this time because we're not the last one struggling to get through, and it ends up going smooth for you guys as well.
Yeah,
because the more people that do it Friday the night, but the day before the event, the better off it is. But I mean, I still had a blast at Stonebreaker. I know we're going to have a blast at Sirius Viking. That one, I cannot wait to get back to that field.
Yeah.
And I will be my word of advice to everybody, depending on, we know Sal likes to put the spawns in parallel.
Well, okay, so hang on, I've got that map open right now too. These are kind of parallel. One is due west, one is due north. So they're not exactly parallel this time, but there will be $1 million intersection as I'm looking at it, and its name is Dorothy. So that $1 million intersection will be awesome. Parallel starts, guys ask me about that all the time. If you look at the way the game's designed and the way the battlefield's set up, it is pointless to try to camp the spawn because you're not going to win. It's not even going to help your team win. There's so many ways out of that spawn, it's unreal. Looking at Doomsday, looking at Overwatch, if they did a parallel spawn at Overwatch, holy shit. Can you imagine that? If they both started in the far corner, the far corners on the what is that? The two corners of the fence that are opposite of where the gate is, the sally port.
Yeah.
They'll never do it because players need to have shade and shit in an alphas.
I think that there might be a little bit more inclination to do it more and more as they see. It looks like they're opening up more and more to suggestions and stuff like that. I mean, what I think is that if you know that the CPs are going to be in those two, for Force Center, those two shaded areas, you could let players go and put their stuff down, but they have to start somewhere else to get to it. At least. Yeah,
but then it's in the middle of the fight, so I'd rather just hey guys, your spawn points are going to be those two corners, and it's a parallel start. Oh my god, at that point, that you think about the way the field's set up at that point, the approach to the buildings has changed so much. You've literally turned the world on its side.
Yeah.
Talking to Bill Soto at Overwatch Tactics and his game that he does at the Renaissance Park.
What Renaissance Park?
It's in Waxahachie, Texas. Conquest Avenue. If he moves his spawn points, to the west versus west, north south, all of a sudden the cover is not designed for that. The cover is different. So it changes the geometry on the field. And so doing parallel starts, one, I don't want to lose AO when I put a spawn point down because it just creates this cone that can't play.
Yeah.
So I'd rather put those on the ends, and that opens up more of the field, which is not to say that we wouldn't, Stonebreaker next year is going to be different. because of how we want to set up the AO. We could go with a diagonal start, but it really depends on how fair it is for each side to have equal access to the space. And so
and going back to Guardian Center, talking about that AO for a minute, that's a really interesting AO with how it's set up. So are you guys already been told what are the destroyed buildings going to be off limits like they were?
So looking at the map, there's the main admin building in the center of town that's off limits. There's the blown up building that's off limits. And then
the C-130?
No, the C-130 crash site is already in place down in the south in the wood line. That's usable. The long-running north-south subway, that one's off limits. But the L, yeah, well, you wouldn't want to play in that thing anyway. All of this
says you. I was kicking ass in that thing.
Oh no, the long. I'm talking about the long one. It goes from the admin building down in the south all the way up until it comes to a perpendicular intersection.
Where the subway cars are or are not?
I don't think they're in that piece, that long running piece.
Okay, so it's. I think I know which ones you're talking about.
The one coming out of the main headquarters building way down south. It runs.
Okay, right by the lake.
No. Look at the map. This one comes out of the main building way down south. I'm talking like the big building, the administrative headquarters. And then it runs north for about 500 meters. And then it hits the city. And it actually, you hit a T intersection. And then you still have the other L shape.
Okay. So the subway cars are pretty much off limits.
Well, it's that piece of the subway. But
that's where the subway cars are.
Yeah, and you still have the L shape, that's still in play. But that long running one that runs from south to north for about 500 meters, they're like nope. So
because I fell on that part. I tripped over a railroad tie myself, but
they've been really accommodating to us. So I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. Players think that. Not every player, but there's a vast majority of players out there that think because they're paying to be there, they can do whatever the hell they want.
Nope.
They can't. Those locations don't exist for airsoft. Those locations exist for real world training. We had to pay for some damages that we didn't cause at GTI. Somebody shoved a freaking pair of scissors through a real vehicle's windshield at another event. It wasn't our event. Some cameras got shot out, some lights got shot out. Okay, guys, well, you brought in other people to host games there. What did you think was going to happen? So we were very deliberate in our clearance process this past time because I don't want to get blamed for somebody else's stuff.
So I know for AMS, people were not allowed to touch props. So pretty much, I assume that's going to be the same thing in play.
So we told them we don't need very many props on the field. They've asked, "What do you guys want out there?" We're like, nothing. We just want buildings. The multiple floors will be open. I guess there was some flooring there. You couldn't go above the first floor in buildings. That wasn't our call. That wasn't Guardian's call. That might have been AMS's call.
Well, I know that there was a couple of buildings that they didn't want people to go up because there was so many props up there, and they were concerned that people were going to start barricading windows because they didn't want them to touch the medical bay, the med bay area. They didn't want people to touch those beds or move the mannequins and stuff around, which some of that still happened. So then Bo and them had to go back and fix it all up.
Yeah, so we'll brief. We'll do a very specific site brief when players come on the field. Hey, look, man, if leave it the way it is. Just leave it the way it is. This isn't Vicksburg where we can fuck that place up. This is a location that has to do real world training. So don't destroy it. I know you think this is actually a very, very nice facility. GTI is another very nice facility that now GTI is closing off areas that they've got rigged for classes because they don't want airsofters to destroy it.
Yeah.
There's parts of the reactor building that will not be accessible ever again because they haven't set up for their home defense classes, which really sucks because I've seen those. Those are some really cool bays that they've created, but they don't want airsofters destroying it.
Yeah, it was I the first time I got onto the jock building and I got beyond the control and I went through a door I never went into, and I made the mistake. I got onto the roof of the jock building by accident. We went up fifth, but we realized this is let's get off, and we got off the building, but the tape was missing, so we saw a lot of that happen too. So, the other one that the question I had is the lake that's there. There's a road on the other side of it. Is that road going to be out of play?
Let me look at the map real quick.
It goes parallel to the tunnel.
Yeah, that is not in play. None of that on that side of that tunnel is in play. So that lake is not that road. Everything east of the subway is not ours. Okay. I'll be dropping the map here probably this weekend. I'm going to make a couple last minute edits with the design committee, and then I'll drop it. It'll have all the objectives right now. There's 6, 7, 8, 9 objectives on the field. So,
and guys, if you haven't been out there, it really is like when I say I'm a little bit disappointed if the subway is out of play, like the actual subway cars and all that. It really looks awesome with the way they set that up there. They put it in with some talent because one's like ripped apart, there's body parts and stuff all over the place. But if you're playing the night game, you got to be situationally aware because I got 45 knife kills at that event at AMS, and people just weren't watching their backs. So, but I think almost everybody that I've talked to so far is really excited for Serious Viking. And, I said before I wasn't going to do any more Helo missions. I almost want to do a Well, you ride 4 Helo flights. It's like, okay, you go up, you shoot people, you go down.
Yeah. Okay. So, one, this is a Huey. So we were talking about the other night, I was talking with Kraut, and, if you guys can say a quick prayer for Kraut. Kraut's got the running. So he's sucking it up. He's fighting a good fight. But as we were talking about the Huey, put 8 guys on the Huey. That's awesome. It's 8-man squad, so you're putting that many Muldoons on the board. The follow-on mission is going to be pretty awesome because you're going to land 8 guys, 8-man squad. You're going to push down, help secure a stranded vehicle, react to contact, and then assault that enemy force, and then rejoin your side. And it's a make or break mission. If you make the mission, you bring points to your side, like we did at Stonebreaker. It was funny because Craig and Freddie were like, what do I do with these envelopes? I'm like, give them to Sal at the end of the round. And so, I was like, hey, here's intel. So it worked out great. So we're going to carry that over to Viking. With a Huey, man, oh my God. I have not flown on a Huey since I'm not going to say mid-90s. Shit, dude, it's gonna be awesome. Paul and Jesse are like, you guys mount 60s on there? We're like, maybe.
You son of a bitch. It makes me spend more money. That's why my wife hates you so much.
My wife can't stand. I'm planning for stuff that I'm moving back home here at the end of May. And, the wife's like, hey, you're already making plans. And I'm like, hey, I got to.
Gotta expand some stuff out.
Well, the Army, a lot of people, my friends know it, but the Army, I've been geo-batching for the last 4 years. So I have not lived at my house. My family's, I've had a high school senior, he's now a college freshman. So rather than moving the family around 4 times in 4 years, I opted to have them stay in one place. But yeah, it's time to go. It's time to live in my own house. So,
is the Sunken Town in play?
I don't know yet. Me and Sam going to do a recon sometime in the next 60 to 90 days and lock that in. I would tell you that based on the field design, you can move, if it's in play, that would be again, one side. If they wanted to drop their commandos, airborne, Barbie, soft, that would be an option. Just like the other side could drop some guys off, in another location south of the blown up building. So it's interesting because both sides. Freddie has come so far as a force commander. I mean, he is to watch him and Craig White mature as commanders over the last 4 years is amazing, absolutely amazing. But then you see him make some goofs, and you're just like, I would not do that.
I will tell you, inside that the sunken town, we went in there searching for some stuff and the MS game. And the only time I ever got scared, like legitimate, I jumped up on a table. Freaking cat came scurrying out from underneath it, man. I didn't know what the hell it was. I just jumped up on the desk and I sounded like a little schoolgirl. Luckily, my camera was off because I let out a scream and I jumped. And all of a sudden, the guy looks at me and goes, "It was a cat." I was like, "I didn't know."
I didn't know. If it's in play, great. We've asked, so we'll verify with them when we do the recon. Camping, yeah, we'll allow camping. It's going to be like if you went to John Muir's event, Irene. The camping's on the west side, outside the gate, so you'll be very close. It won't be like Iron Horse, where you park way in the south and walk your ass up. They've allowed us to do the camping right outside the side gate.
Oh, nice.
So you can be relatively close.
And Greg mentioned this, but then he's having computer issues. That's why he's not back. The question comes up about vendors. Are you guys limiting vendors? Or what's the vendor deals there? Do you know yet?
So right now we know On the Go Surplus is committed. Mark and Stephanie, thank them for all the pyro they bring because they have given us a lot of pyro. That's their sponsorship. So major thanks to them for that. So we know they're coming. Airsoft Junkies, obviously. With the sponsorship, man, we want vendors there, but we have to offset the cost any way we can. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it depends what they're bringing. We've had a couple of guys. Well, I have a small shop, and we're like, in that small shop, you can pay your vending fee and show up, but unless you sell something dramatically different from Junkies, you're probably going to get eclipsed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, it kind of sucks.
I meant when I said sponsors, I meant vendor row. Yeah. Each one does it. So,
yeah, of course. So, I mean, we got to figure out if they're gonna allow food trucks. Because man, that one food truck not enough.
That was going to be. I meant to mention that before. I felt sort of bad because sorry, but not sorry. When I started smoking my brisket, I had a bunch of guys come over. You're like, "You selling some?" I was like, "We're taking donations for the battle bus because we got a lot of brisket. What do you want?"
I can't eat all this, or can I?
I tried. It didn't work. That was better than before.
Violent meat fuel dreams. So we're working with everything's got to be cleared by the facility. A lot of people don't realize that this facility does a lot of tier 1, tier 2 training. So they're very guarded in who they allow onto the grounds. And we don't want to screw something up and not be able to come back or be that organization that fucked it for everybody else. The insurance thing right now, we're lucky that we were able to work through that. We had Tony and Mike and Sam work through that. 9 months, almost a year ago now, to get us on the path of making sure that one, we finally found one that would cover us too, make sure that they would cover us. Now, insurance in airsoft is a big thing. And some people require more than others. And it was easier for us to get a year policy at a time rather than go event to event. But man, that was a nickel. That was.
I bet. Look, just getting the coverage on my vehicles with going through it. I mean, I got year policies on mine because of that very same thing, and it wasn't cheap. I mean, the first time that we did it for the battle bus, it was $5,000. Yeah, and we're talking about 2 events, and that was for the year. And I was like, we went with a different policy, and we got a much better rate. But
you can't, you know, we found out you can't go cheap because certain AOs require certain caps.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I say it went cheaper is because I found a policy that covered the same, and it was $1 mil and $3 mil, and it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then the other part was we didn't. Everybody was sleeping with the same girl apparently. So every airsoft company was probably using the same one,
and so one screws it up for everybody.
Yeah, and so after that, it was just like, okay, you know, Sam and Tony and Mike were like, hey, that's it. We're going on this route, and it's you know, it's our business, somebody else's. So I was like, okay, guys, you know, that's, you know, it's a good thing. I laugh when people go, well, they probably didn't have insurance. Would I be putting people on a helicopter if I didn't have insurance? Like,
yeah.
You know, come on, man.
A conversation somebody sent me that I had to share was, I was like, no, it just because you can't get insurance or you're having difficulty does not mean other people haven't done a lot of research to get their insurances down. Plus, your model is probably different than their models. Their model is different than Model A is different than Model B.
Well, again, we found out a year ago that everybody was using the same one. And so it was like, okay, did we all burn? Did we inadvertently burn all our different coverages, and now we're all using the same one? Well, that's not going to last very long. You know, and then the questions that we were getting from the one that when we found out everyone was using the same one, it was like, wait a minute, why am I getting it? Like, this sounds like somebody else's event. And so we were like, okay, we need to start shopping around.
And it's a matter of sharing information. You know, you only give enough information of of what you're supposed. You know, it's one of those things of.
Well, in full disclosure, if you bullshit with your insurance and something happens, you avoided it. So better to be full disclosure with your insurance and be covered.
What I mean is that you don't share stories of what happened at past games that might impact your insurance. Like, hey, yeah, you know, we had this guy that got sandwiched between 2 vehicles, but he didn't sue us. You know, you don't share stuff like that.
Yeah, you kind of forget who you're talking to. Quit drinking the bong water, bro. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we don't suffer from too many hosts. We suffer from too few players. And so I'd rather say, hey, man, there's plenty of success in the pool for everybody. Plus, players are going to age into, you know, they may start with, you know, the local regional games. And then, hey, I want to try a national event, AMS, Overwatch Tactics, you know, whatever, you know, Third Coast. You know,
and I see that a lot. Like just yesterday when I was playing, we were playing at MA. We had a group of 5 guys that are like, we were talking about the op that's coming up, and the guys came over like, oh, what event is this? Because we really want to do Milsim events. We want to do some of the national ones. And I was like, well, come step into my parlor. We'll talk. You know, we'll talk about some of the events that are coming up and stuff that's going around. I think what also happens is like certain promoters, not TCA, not Doomsday, limit the area that they go into, thinking that they're only going to go into areas where there's established players. But then there's these vast part of the United States that there's probably thousands of players in that are not being touched because because no events have gone there to go on or started to do the testers for those areas to build up. And I see it a lot because of how much I travel. I've gone around and I've seen a lot of people like so far my Mason-Dixon line is pretty much Mississippi and East. But I've talked to a lot of people, like in Alaska, for example. They have Alaska's far out there, but Alaska, Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Minnesota were the top ones. We're like, we really want to have these events, but we have to travel so far to go. And I was like, well, you need a couple of big fields to open up so you can start drawing the attention of all these different guys, all these event promoters to say, hey, this is a market to find an AO in.
And so the other half is, our logistics tail. We did Chicago twice, Broken Dagger 1, Broken Dagger 2, great events. But we literally put on an event with 6 people. Everybody was working 3 times as hard. And then the next time we did it with 8 people, and everybody still worked. We had one dude doing tier 1 prep, vending, and and then the AO got sold. Trying to find an AO, it's hard, and we're working with AO scouts. So if we can find another Midwest AO, and guys who own fields, it's like, well, hey man, we'd love to have you come up here and do an event at our field. I'm like, I can't charge enough to cover my overhead. When you're charging $20 to play on a Saturday, I can't come in and go, hey, 125, Third Coast Airsoft. And it's like, well, hell, I'll just wait until you're gone and I'll pay my $20 and, get my BB on. So we're really looking for AOs. And it sucks because the field owners are like, I can fit 300 players at my field. I'm like, I know you can, bro, but I can't.
Are your 300 players going to pay my?
Right.
And yes, Kevin, that's one of the guys I was talking about. Was the guy from Alaska was one that popped into my head. So yeah, and there's people that, like, for Doomsday that flew from like South America to play. So it's like airsofters. I wouldn't say for a whole, but a large portion of airsofters also have disposable income, or it's like my team likes to call me dispose of all income to play airsoft. So it's like. I get it that if you're looking for cool AOs when I'm driving out, when the convention season opens back up again and I'm going all across this country, I'll try helping you find some, man, because it's.
We've seen a few, but I mean, like, we looked at one when we were looking at Vicksburg. Everybody's like, hey, you guys going to go back to Bone Strike? And it's like, that neighbor, I think that neighbor really realized, wow, I was the toad in the road on this. He did give us a line on another AO, so we're going to go look into it. But if it's in a neighborhood, I'm not going to waste my time. Then again, a defense budget's coming down. I might be able to get back at Shelby. I might be able to get Muscatatuck. I might be able to, work something out with Zussman. I don't know. It really depends on.
I definitely want the exclusive when you guys are going into Shelby. Let's take my money.
But we want to do it. We reach back out to them. We'll see. The hard part is some people have very sour experience from previous event hosts, and I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, but it's like, guys, it's a privilege to be at these AOs. Please understand that. It's a privilege to be able to play on a military base. It's a privilege to use their mount site. It's not a right. We've done a very good job. Both us and AMS done a very good job with Fort Hood, making sure that we don't screw up that AO. Because otherwise, Texas doesn't. There's no other AOs that we can. Yeah, I could find a Boy Scout camp, but not the same, man. So. No, it can be something awesome, but it wouldn't be mass force on force.
And that's what I think a lot of people. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for when they go out there is how many people can I shoot, all that fun stuff. And the other thing I was gonna say is, I mean, I can't wait till you guys, if you guys actually look and locate like another large hospital or event that it doesn't coincide where I've already scheduled myself somewhere.
Yeah.
or also even a mall. Not a lot of the malls are starting to go down.
So we've looked at a couple of malls. The hard part is they are on the market and then they're off the market. And I can't turn a game and like, Sal, you can do it. I'm like, I can't turn a game in 60 days, guys. There's
too much logistics.
Yeah, well, logistics being one, but players, I mean, it's like literally that gives you 45 days to buy tickets.
Yeah. And unless it's, if I think anybody could do it, TCA could, but at the same time, you guys have to be able to make your money, and God forbid you make a profit. But you have to make your money so that way we could have the events and everything else go out there. And what I sort of like said this in another stream a little like a couple of weeks ago, where I start hoping that organizers start cooperating a little bit and not schedule stuff. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that because nothing sucks more than like, oh yes, no.
Yeah. So major shout out to AMS, Bo, and to Bill Solo at Overwatch Tactics and Luke over at Real Sim. We try very hard, and even the guys at Centurion, we try very hard not to make players choose. We try to get our schedules kind of we try to not step on each other because, surprise, we like to go and play. Lion Claws, I got to mention them. We've always tried to cross coordinate and cross promote because we don't want to step on each other. And on the vending side of the house, my partner in crime, he may be vending at one of those games. So, I don't want to. I can't do an event without junkies, and junkies can't do an event without us. So,
and in 2 weeks or 2 weekends, not this weekend but the next, Junkies is going to be at Firestorm in Elgin, right? So does that mean I actually get to shoot Sam some more?
Maybe.
Is Sam coming out to play?
We'll be there. Some of the TCA crew will be there. Council will be up there. So there'll be a few of us up there at Firestorm. One, a chance to run and gun with players that we see at our events. That's always a bonus.
Well, I didn't realize that Freddie and I were going to be there, but the Dark Horse 6 guys scooped me up, so I'm going to be running with them.
So what side are they running on?
Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So I get to shoot up Lucky and Freddie and
I laugh at that because Tom has not come to a TCA event forever.
He's probably coming to Guardian Center because I've been talking to him quite a bit.
Well, he's tickets. So that's the other half. Here's one for you. In 72 hours, Commandos and Soft were sold out. We've never seen that. We've not in none of our events have we ever seen the two specialty units go zero. I think in 48 hours, man, they were booked. So sorry, Tom. You're not gonna. You better get into Abel Baker or fucking Easy Company.
He could join me in fight.
Or Dagger and Chaos and Fight because I think Airborne's full. Guys don't realize the fun of the specialty units. They're like, Sal, you mandate camo patterns. I'm like, yeah, man, but you guys have the most flexibility in weapon loadout. Plus, you get to start forward. So you get twofers, man. So I'm asking you I'm asking you to run a camo pattern. Guess what, guy? You already have like 18 patterns at your house.
Yeah, my team. It's like we have 3 patterns. We have multicam for tan. We have OD for green, and then Hawaiian shirts for everything else.
Yeah. So we talked. I got to go back and talk to Centurion because what I want to do for the next Blakely game, hopefully it's not in the next month. Hopefully it's sometime in the summer to fall, and I can make it. We want to return to Copan and bring our own, our piece to it because a lot of people, when we did the second one, we were the civilians, we were the drug runners, we were the world we were Pineland, and guys had a lot of fun with it. Didn't realize the cops were dirty. And that the cops were wheeling drugs and wheeling diamonds and making all the money.
The one we went to, that's when my tan truck first died. The transmission blew, so we rented a 20. We rented that F-150, and when we showed up to that, I have a problem. I mean, I think you know me well enough to see I have a problem just sitting still.
I know.
I don't like to do nothing. I like to be on the go and moving. So you have me inside of. You have me at the AA sitting there doing nothing for 3 hours. I'm going to go find some trouble. And boy, did I ever!
so that's the other half of the ride. I got to talk to Bob or Dave, and say, hey man, if I get a chance to come back, I know Bubba wants to do the whole PMC, let Bubba do Bubba things, but maybe I'll run the tan side, the soft side of the house, and get you guys doing a little more coin stuff. So.
Dude, it was funny because we didn't just go up and kick the beehive, man. I smacked that bad boy with a baseball bat.
What you don't realize is it's a very scripted event. They've got if and when statements. He's got an inject list that's probably a binder, a 2-inch binder thick. It is a very scripted event.
And that was fine once we realized how scripted it was. It was just that they had that kill house, and my suggestion to them was like, look, in the future, if you're going to have us sitting idle, just have us go out to that kill house and do some 5-on-5 action.
So guys who have done Robin Sage, Full Eagle, a lot of these SF support, SF support training or support. Let me back up. I'm saying it dyslexic. Training to SF support missions, where you're supporting their training, either with OPFOR or Guerrilla Force, or you're the guys that work with them. You would understand the world that they have to operate in, and you understand that there could be so much more. You're right. Hey, Mark, go execute a raid. You're going to go execute a raid on a house, and there could be bad guys there. There could be not bad guys there, but I'm going to have them execute a raid. So there's stuff that you can do. The guys were like, you guys should put on your own op like Centurion. I'm like, no, man, I'd rather work with them. Because I have a lot of fun working with Bubba and the crew.
There's something to be said about all these different event companies having their own wheelhouse, essentially, their own area that they operate in, because you know what to expect. Like moving forward, if I ever go to a Centurion game, I know that I'm going to have to stick to the script, essentially, and that there's going to be a more role play aspect. Same thing with like a Wasteland game. Wasteland, I know I'm going to be that I'm going to have limited ammunition, and I'm going to go around acting as if we're in a Fallout universe, and I get to shoot people indiscriminately and have very little repercussions. Exactly. So it's all that stuff. It's like I personally like that, so I understand. It's like always a learning curve. Like I can't wait to do a rev. We're set to go to Rev 11, but then of course COVID that shut that down. So hopefully it's going to be this year. So I like the fact that you know what you're getting inside of a game. Like if I go to a TCA game, I know I'm going to get a really well-run game that's going to be really well-staffed, that I could bring brand new people that never played a day of airsoft before and say, okay, you're going to have fun here. You're going to like this and everything else. I know that if I have guys that like the LARP, let's find a Centurion game that we can go to, so stuff like that. And then I know that Doomsday is going to be regional to Florida. So it's like, okay, what cool AO are they going to now? Which they might have some announcements coming up in the near future about Overwatch 7 and some other cool stuff. So it's stuff like that. So I like it when they don't, like, event hosts don't go outside of their wheelhouse because it's almost off brand, and people, because you always have that group of people that don't read anything. Oh, it's a TCA game. I know what to expect. What do you mean? That's why I asked the questions about the Vietnam era one.
Yeah.
So because it's like, all right, how much do I have to change in order to go to that event?
I just get a rice hat or a pith helmet off of Wish. Grab an AK and grab a canteen and have a good time.
That rice hat will come in this big.
No, that'd be hilarious. You can do what Dale did. You got the metal face mask, and you made a Fu Manchu out of parachute cord guts.
Yeah. But I mean, I really appreciate what TCA is doing, and also what Junkies is doing. You guys are really starting to bring some stuff up. I like the fact that you guys are bringing more and more events out, and it's like I'm starting to get myself in the habit now. It's like, okay, what's coming up in May? Let me check TCA first, and let me check AMS, then go down the line to make sure I'm not missing a really cool AO, and to go shoot my friends with plastic BBs.
So the other half, you hit onto a very good line. When players, I hear Third Coast or I hear AMS. I'm going into force on force. One's more structured in terms of geographical objectives. The other one's got, some geographical objectives, some in-stride fragos. If I go to Milsim West, I know I'm getting a 44-hour, fully immersive event. If I'm going Centurion, I'm getting immersive, more of a more counterinsurgency focus. If I'm going to Doomsday, it's kind of their take on force. So when a customer decides to take a right turn, and you know what, I've never been to a Third Coast game, and then go and come back and then go, I didn't like it. Well, I know you weren't going to like it. You never were going to like it. Because you're so used to vanilla, or you're so used to chocolate, you're so used to whatever. If you grew up eating gelato, ice cream is very boring. Like I said before, if you're always dating blondes, why would you try to date a brunette? You're not going to like the experience. So I kind of get after players that are very like, this is what I like. Well, why did you try something totally different? If you knew you weren't going to like it, why did you go do it?
And the problem is, I don't, because I always like trying different ones because I want to see if I might like it, right? But I go in with the expectation of, all right, this is going to be brand new. Let's see what goes on. Like when I was doing, when we were doing the board games, I would open myself up to any opportunity to go to any convention. So that was like one of the things that we do. I was like, if you want to have us come out, and I got contacted by a BronyCon. Like My Little Pony Con.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Only time I ever had to go get my gun out of the car was at a BronyCon, and I'm not even lying. But it was also really high sales because most people didn't realize. So for us, it was a great. Obviously, I wasn't into that fandom, so it was great people watching the shit that was walking by and the level of heart these guys had, because it was mostly guys. Was amazing, and it was really cool, and it was there. Then I said, okay, open myself to a BronyCon. How bad could a FurryCon be? Woo! Woo! Nah. It was not. It was a. Hold on. There's little. Go away. If you all don't know what yiffing is, you don't want to find out what yiffing is.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'll tell you offline.
No.
But pretty much this one con, doors opened, I hit lobby, doors shut, grabbed my stuff, checked out, told the event host, have a nice day. It was that bad from what I saw, and I'll tell you afterwards. And Zachary was absolutely right. At that moment, he realized he fucked up. So, but I give things opportunities a chance. I go with an open mind, saying, "Look, I don't know what I'm about to experience, and let's go through and do this." Like going to an S&M convention with one of our games that worked out really well. Boy, the stuff you saw, you never thought you would see. But we had other people that went into like a steampunk fair, thinking it was like a regular Comic-Con, and we saw these people so upset with what they were seeing. It's steampunk, it's that weird and all that stuff. Well, if you had zero interest in doing it, why would you buy a ticket and go?
Yeah.
It's. I mean,
or go with an open mind and say, look, I know what I'm getting into. It's not going to be what I'm used to, but it's a chance for me to sling some BBs. And I would say, let me back up. When guys go, well, Third Coast is great. It's not the Milsim I'm used to. Okay. How involved did you get? Did you plug yourself into the leadership? Like when I go to an event and I'm kind of like going in undercover, Like, I'm just going to buy a ticket and show up. I don't want to announce my presence because I want to do this, not this. And so when guys find out I'm going to an event, hey, Sal, you want to be a platoon leader? You want to be a company commander? You want to be a force commander? No, I just want to go bang the nail, dude. Because my day job, if I'm doing this, I have fucked up. Of course, there was a time when I only had 7 tanks firing, and somehow the CEO's tank shot 155 rounds of main gun. But hey, when only 7 tanks can shoot, I guess I'm going to be pumping 120s downrange.
I'm the same way. It's like if I go to these events, I really don't want to be leadership. I don't want to. I'm out there to have trigger time. So, like the most that people ask you, like, what is it that you're willing to do? I was like, the most I'm willing to do is be a squad leader, or like you put me in charge of the vehicles. I was like, that's perfect because I can take my. I'm a on field. I'm a battlefield commander. I will be charging headfirst in this stuff, and.
So let's go back to Overwatch, right? Well, Sal, how did you end up being in charge of Overwatch? Well, I can't remember what Overwatch it was. I think it was like Overwatch 4. The poor commander needed someone to help it make decisions. I pulled my hamstring. So I'm like, you know what, man? You know what you need? You need an OPSO. You need an operations officer here. So, I helped him run his command post, and we actually turned things around on Sunday. Players were actually having a fun time. And then, ended up commanding at Southern Front, I don't know, I can't. Anyways, Bulldog and Chris had asked me to command at that event. I Western won for the first time ever, and then Overwatch 5, Overwatch 6, and after a while, I was just like, okay, but I'm not a headquarters, I'm not a command post kind of commander. I never have been, much to my PSD's chagrin. They're like, Sal, we're about to get overrun. Yeah, not yet, man. Let me see what's going on. Okay, I've seen enough. Let's go. So it was funny because AJ didn't realize that I wasn't at the talk a lot at Overwatch 6. I was actually walking the field. I was actually moving around with Junkie 6, getting a sense of what was happening on the field. And I'm not a command post kind of guy, but I had a great XO. Ben Kiker was holding it down for me. And if it wasn't Ben, it was Mike Miguel Lopez. So my thing is, like, if I showed up at Elkin, if I showed up at Elkin, it would be, hey guys, I will do whatever you tell me to do. I am the best follower when it's time for me to be a follower. Now, if you ask me, hey, so what do you think we should do? Okay, the lead I have, I would say do this and this. But to me, it's about letting others, like, hey, when in charge, be in charge. If you're not in charge, we're going to follow it. So.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you go out to the field and you have those guys that just sit back at the thing. It's like, I have to keep relaying back to you. Like even Freddie was on that bus left and right. Craig White was on the field because I think we hit him twice with the bus. And he was going up to Clara, I think it was. So I mean, when the commanders are out there, they could see the flow of the field. And it was like the first time I ran a technical was at Stonebreaker the first time, and Freddie took over my gun truck. And I was like, because I said, here, I'm bringing a truck. You guys can use it to your heart's content. I'm going to go inside the buildings from time to time. Here you go. Freddie was driving that thing around. As a commander, as a CEO driving around, he had such operational knowledge that he was dropping JDAMs at the absolute worst spots for TAN. Right on top of him and all that stuff, because he was able to go out there and see. And it was an eye-opener for me when I'm running my team. It's like, I have to be out there with you. I just can't be sitting back beside, because I can't make any tactical decisions relying on people on the radio, maybe giving me wrong information and looking at just a map. I got to be out there in play. So if you were to go to Elkin, what side are you going to be on, green or tan?
I'd probably run on, if I went, I'd have to run on tan, because it's that's junkies, so I got to run with them.
Which, did you guys get a lot of flack? Because I heard a couple people complaining that the junkies Humvee was now green for Stonebreaker.
I don't know if they. Hold on. Trying to see. Got some work stuff that popped up. I don't know, man. I didn't hear anything. I know guys were like, "Oh, it's gonna run on." I'm like, "Yeah, but guys, you can't have an imbalance."
Yeah. What was the final Vic balance? Was it still just two? It was 7-5.
Yeah, it was 7-5.
Okay.
So it wasn't the end of the. I mean, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the end of the world, but I've also gone to games where the enemy had 4 technicals and I had 2, and they couldn't use the technicals right for shit.
Yeah.
So
that's like that's one thing that really messed AJ up, was that the technicals they had, they weren't using them right, and then you had a really strong force against them. So Potomac, myself, with our vehicles alone, we kept them pretty bottlenecked and contained.
yeah.
So, is there going to be any other special rules for Stonebreaker about late starts or anything else like that for the vehicles, or it's going to be start at the same time?
Start at the same time.
Okay.
One of the guys was like, "Oh, if I sign up as commando," I'm like, "I wouldn't do that. I would sign up in fight company. If you're bringing a technical, don't sign up for a specialty unit. You're screwing that specialty unit out of a forward start. Vehicles don't forward start.
Yeah.
You know."
I mean, they'll be able to get there pretty quick, and probably out, depending on which way you're going, it might actually outdistance some of the people.
We tried that. I want to say we tried that at Starburst 7 out in the Rock Quarry. That area was so fucking huge. If we could ever go back there, it'd be awesome. But if we started it forward and it didn't pan out. On the subject of vehicles, and before we call it a night. 6 and 6. That's all we get. We get a total of 12 Vics on the field. I want to say it was already 4 and 4 signed up. Once those slots are full, that's it.
So, in other words, get your tickets now and secure your vehicles.
Yes. Now, well, if I secured a spot, but I haven't bought a player ticket yet, well, then guess what? You just avoided that vehicle slot. Buy your player ticket and then reserve your vehicle. But once those 12 slots are full, guys, I can't put any more vehicles on the field. It would ruin the game. It would ruin the focus of the game. And then UTVs do count. So, I mean, if you bring in a UTV and you just took a technical spot.
Yeah, and guys, for this AO, it's kind of big. You're really going to want to make sure that you're bringing bigger vehicles that can haul bodies around, because depending on where they put those things, it could be a mile and a half walk back to your spawn to respawn. So I would definitely put them. I definitely use it for that. So we're almost at 2 hours and 10 minutes, guys. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here real soon. I want to thank Z Monster for coming on from TCA to go over some of their events. I'm sure he's going to have a lot more stuff to talk about in the future. We always like bringing him on because he always gives us good information. Like he gives us all sorts of. What he does is he comes on here, so I spend more money. That's what he does.
Dispose of all your income. You're gonna get another stimulus anyway, so just deal with it.
But we want to go and thank everybody for coming on. We want to thank Papa. Unfortunately, he had computer issues; he had to go. But until next time, we'll see you on the field. Good night.
All right.